tiny bubbles in my wine. Makes me happy. Makes me feel fine. Wicky wacky wookie woo. Tiny bubbles make me warm all over, especially in Waikiki, with a feeling that I'm gonna love till the end of time. Welcome back to the middle of the show. We're doing this. Wasn't that fascinating? There was a picture of Mr. Kamaka holding up a couple of ukuleles.
There we go.
There it is. There it is. That guy is a character. I actually spoke with him, right? And he's so excitable. You would think he was 50 years old. That guy's in his 90s. Fascinating. Stan has our guitar tech, Stan Biankiewicz. I'm Matt Cogswell. If you've watched the first show, you know who I am, but I might as well get that out of the way. Stan has a potpourri, smorgasbord, veritable cornucopia.
I have one uke that Mr. Kamaka didn't show in his movie, and you didn't see. And there's one that I wish I had, but he makes that I don't have. And we're going to, I guess, talk about a little bit of ukuleles.
Yeah, the pineapple, the start of his talk, I remember that he was speaking about his father coming up with that pineapple shape. And I think he wanted to get more sound projection. That was his basic...
Well, this actually is a warmer uke sound. It has a better bass response. He was looking for to save the projection, but to come up with a little more warmth and background,
like
and
more of a
resonance to it. And with the big body, he did. And as the movie explained, a friend saw it and said, "Gee, you know, Sam, it looks like a pineapple." So they would come in a few varieties. They come in actually. This is a deluxe. There were two deluxes. There was the one that was the painted deluxe, and then there was the one that had all the beautiful rope binding going up and down the neck. Now, I'm kind of in the middle of restoring this one. It doesn't have the original pins, as you can see. These look like the first replacements, but I believe this instrument actually had wooden pins.
Yeah.
Like this instrument, this is a 1926. This was made by the father of the gentleman you see holding those two ukuleles in front.
Man. Wow. I mean, it's a beautiful shape for it. That's almost 100 years old. What you're looking at right there.
Yeah.
Almost 100.
Getting there. This one's about the same era, about 1926, 1927. This is a budget, but they were making them in all kinds of shapes. Well, let's start with a little bit of the history. First, well, Matt, you're half what? You're half Irish and you're half
Portuguese.
And they were the culprits. I don't know what attracted the Portuguese to move to Hawaii, but when they did...
A lot of things. Whaling, tuna, the tuna fleet. Tuna was big off of Hawaii.
Now, didn't the Portuguese actually bring the pineapples to Hawaii?
No.
No? I thought that was part of it. I don't think...
No, those are ship captains. That's all over the United States. The New Bedford whalers, and it's in Providence now, that pineapple was a sign of welcome. They would bring pineapples back from their whaling trips.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That pineapple is a sign of welcome. Atwell's Avenue, over Atwell's Avenue.
The pineapple, the infamous pineapple over Atwell's Avenue. And also, just a little history on Kamaka. The third brother, when the father was too ill to take over, they took over the business. Two of the brothers did. The third one practiced medicine here in Warwick. Brown University has the Hawaiian Ukulele Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I didn't know that until he said it. Right up the street.
I used to work for a gentleman here who ran the Ukulele Museum here in Rhode Island. It was located in Cranston, and unfortunately, due to finances, I believe it's been moved to New Jersey. But it's a shame. I was going to wear his ukulele T-shirt. But then I said, you should wear a Hawaiian shirt like Matt.
You liar. He made me wear this shirt.
So what you
it's
see
0
here,
degrees outside right now.
What you see here in the picture are all the vintage ukuleles. I believe that one right over there is a kumalai. Now, the first ukulele builders were Diaz and Nunes, and they were obviously Portuguese. It's a modified instrument from Portugal, referred to, and please.
It's tough. I tell you what. I
don't know if I can pronounce the word.
She said it. She said it in the shop. His daughter.
Yeah.
And it said Baringa.
Baringa. Yeah.
Well, she said I don't say that wrong. I said, Christ, I'm Portuguese. She goes, you're still not pronouncing it right. There's almost like a more of a roll of the R's, and there's 2 G's in it. Bringa. Like
yeah.
It's hard, but yeah, that's where they originated.
Longfellow wrote in one of his travel journals, being in Lisbon, Portugal, and hearing this gnat-like sounding instrument that would annoy people forever, and that's who he was describing, was the ukulele.
I don't think they're annoying at all.
Now the story goes that these first builders saw a sailor entertaining some ladies on the dock with this instrument and said, gee, it's a hard instrument to play. I bet we can make it play a lot easier and sound a little better. And that was the first development of what we now call the ukulele. Now, the way the name came about was by 2 forms, and I'm not sure which one, and it is a big myth behind it. The first one was a naval officer who was virtuoso on the ukulele, and his nickname was Jumping Flea. And ukulele translated from Hawaiian is similar to Jumping Flea. It's a rough translation, but it's... And the Queen of Hawaii loved these instruments and proclaimed them a national treasure. And Hawaiian music became very popular because of it, because of the World's Fair in 1914. They came in with a bunch of these ukuleles and they went nuts. Another thing that happened with the advent of the ukulele, remember, these are European instruments being brought in.
My grandfather, you know, and my uncles, his brothers, they loved
Martin, I have a couple of Martins here. They stopped using them in production they stopped production around 1970, but they were always a custom order. You could always order a Martin ukulele. He's, ironically, I believe, Kamaka's biggest competitor at this Martin stage of the game.
Now or then?
Pretty much through World War II on up. They were probably each other's biggest competitors. Kamalai was one of the first Hawaiian-made ukuleles. Kamaka came in like 2nd or 3rd. And these ukuleles, here's some Kamakas in the picture.
That's upstairs. That's upstairs. Those are the repairs.
The Diaz and Nunes went out of business. The family didn't want to keep the operation going, I guess. Kamalai, same thing. But Kamaka stayed, so they are the Hawaiian manufacturer. The one that he
told me he ships pallets of these to Japan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Pallets.
They're very popular.
They're hugely popular.
Another thing, but I'm just going to make a side note, was the lap guitar.
Lap steel?
The lap steel guitar came basically, I believe, from Hawaii. The bottleneck was used in a different format and used different tunings, whereas the lap steel and the pedal steel, they use the tuning of the ukulele.
I know that head anywhere. This is up in his shop. He's showing us he actually brought us through 5 or 6 different parts of the shop, and you can see the people in there. The workers. It was like they see him every single day, and they think, you know, here's the old man again. Here he's doing his spiel. I don't think they let him do anything back in that shop. I think they run him out of there. You know, they go, you know. But he's allowed in there, and one of the reasons he really likes to do what he does is because he's allowed in there, and he's allowed to be back there with his ukuleles. You can see that he lights up when he walks into the shop. He's like smiling and all that, you know.
Yeah, it's been his livelihood. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. It's like he explained in the movie that it could be a very dirty job building instruments. It is.
The place smells great. The shop.
Yeah,
shop
but
like
don't inhale too much wood, because
yeah.
you're gonna, you know, some of these woods like rosewood, for instance, does not, when you're sanding it, does not turn into sawdust. It turns into microscopic splinters like fiberglass does, and you get it in your lungs. It's just like fiberglass in your lungs. It's not a good thing. But we're going to move on for a little bit.
We're going to move on now.
If we could get the original picture of him in front of all the old ukuleles, or one of the ukulele shots, we can. Okay, what you're seeing is a variety of ukuleles, and notice there's a cigar box.
Cigar box, yeah, that's cool.
And then there are people that, believe it or not, making instruments out of cigar boxes.
Oh yeah, there's a guitar. I see a guitar that sounds really good.
These were kind of odd shape ukes, but I'm going to go through the family of ukuleles. First, there's the Soprano. This is the smallest of the ukes.
Listen to that thing. That's loud. For a little instrument like that, it's very loud. You can really hear it.
I think I got a loose brace. Something's loose. At any rate, this is, hear it?
Yeah, it's this one. It's this one right here.
Yeah, but it's a brace inside the uke. I've been trying to humidify them and keep them humidified, but it doesn't always work. This is Soprano. Then, for more volume, they make a little bigger body, and this is called, Mr. Kamaka refers to it as an alto, soprano, alto, and then Matt is holding a tenor. And as we can, if you can put this off to, let's see, go off to one of the cameras. And
that'd make a nice shirt, wouldn't it? Oh, over to your right, Stan. Move it to your right. Move to your right.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
So you can see there's 3 different sizes.
Yeah.
They're all tuned the same, but the bigger the body, the more bass response. And the tenor of all is probably the most used instrument in the entertainment business because of its size. It's not as small to hold. You got a little easier hold on it, and you got a little more spread in the frets to fret. If those of you who remember, back in the popularity of Hawaiian music, there was one gentleman in the 20s who was a big hit. His name was Ukulele Ike. His real name was Cliff Edwards. And,
he did the voice of Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket, that's right. And he had a bunch of hits with the ukulele. Tiny Tim did a lot of tunes from that era of ukulele. Ironically, Tiptoe Through the Tulips was a hit by a gentleman by the name of Nick Lucas, who was a guitarist, singer with the big band. And Nick's infamous thing is the infamous shape of pick that a lot of people see, the guitar pick that everybody thinks is the standard pick. That was the shape he chose because in those days you used to make your own picks. He actually chose that was his shape, and that's the Nick Lucas shape, is the common shape. He kicked the banjo and the tuba out of the big band and replaced them with guitar and replaced them with upright bass. And I know I'm going off on guitars here a little bit.
No.
But so a lot of this stuff.
It's guitar talk.
It was guitar talk. So the Hawaiians were into the lap stuff and got into the C6 tunings, which is one of the tunings of a pedal steel.
Right.
You could get laps in a bunch of different.
So is this a chord?
Yes, it is because
do you call it a C chord or maybe?
It's a C6 chord.
C6.
Okay. To attain a ukulele tuning, like let's say you want to play with the ukulele, someone playing a ukulele, and you want to use the same shapes that you use on the guitar, put a capo on the 5th fret, and that's what they consider a C6 tuning. And that's what this is tuned to, except we're missing the 2 outside strings.
Okay.
The E and the A of the guitar. This is
now
tuned.
what fret was it? The 6th fret?
The 5th.
All right, so if you put a capo across the 5th fret on your guitar,
yeah,
you have the same thing here.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a couple of songs that are capoed like that. Isn't Here Comes the Sun? Isn't that
There Comes the Sun,
like
but that's a different function of the capo than what we're doing a similar function, but it's.
Well, what you're saying is it's this sound, this tuning here, if you capo the 5th fret on the guitar.
Right.
But what I'm saying is they've used it, so you could probably play Here Comes the Sun on the ukulele.
Oh yeah. George Harrison was a big fan of the ukulele.
Oh yeah, I read, in fact, they were interviewing Eric Clapton for the George Harrison movie, All Things Must Pass. They had a movie on HBO about his life. And he said that Harrison would come over his house all the time, open the trunk of his car up. He had 8 or 9 ukuleles. Try this one, try this one. And they go out in the garden and they just...
Well, when Paul McCartney did, after George died, that tribute show, he played Something in the Way She Moves with a ukulele.
Yeah, amazing.
Because of George liking the ukulele. One of the things that was happening with music at that time, and it's not just with the ukulele and Hawaiian music, but it's all music. Edison invented a thing called a record player, and Tesla invented a radio, and Edison had recorded every professional musician that could be, and now was recording the backyard musicians, which now became professional musicians. And now that's why we have country and western artists. That's why we have rock and roll artists. That's why we have jazz artists, because of the advent of this tube, and Hawaiian music too. And people will go on tour now to support this, but they didn't have the volume. So one of the attempts, and they still make this, is called a Taropatch. It's a variable of the ukulele. It's a double string ukulele, kind of like a mandolin version of a ukulele. And Martin tried one, but it was difficult to play, and they discontinued it in the early 30s.
Well, they're not easy to play, that's for sure. You have to fret those perfectly.
But a resurgence of the Taropatch has come about, and people, inclusive of Kamaka, I believe, make an 8-string tenor, which is a Taropatch. One instrument that was taken from South America was an instrument called charenga. Now, remember, during the Spanish Inquisition, a lot of these Indians would build things, for the gods.
I wasn't expecting the Spanish Inquisition.
The Inquisition.
Hey, I want to show one thing. You hold up sideways. Look at the depth of that thing. Look at how deep that is. I mean, just compare it. This has got extra depth to it. So it would seem to me it would have extra sound if it's that deep.
Well, this one company in Los Angeles, just based on their name.
Okay, go ahead.
But at any rate, this one company in Los Angeles was trying to make a louder ukulele, and they took what they call a charenga, which is a 10-string South American instrument, and converted it into a ukulele-style tuning, and named it a tiple. And tiples were very popular because they're very loud.
Yeah, that's loud.
And then this is like the equivalent of a 12-string acoustic guitar. And it has octave strings. And this becomes a very loud.
Wow, you can really.
So they did some variables on the ukulele, this being one of them, the tiple, the Taropatch, the double string ukulele, the sizes of the ukulele. Ukuleles are usually made from koa wood. Martin tried making ukuleles more like a guitar in the teens. And by the early 20s, stopped. But with the velocity of sales for ukulele, found that mahogany offered a similar twist to the koa. And what you're holding is a mahogany. I don't believe I actually own a koa, although this one looks like it might be, or it might be just an old piece of mahogany.
On a sidetrack here, we're talking about koa. Koa is a protected wood in Hawaii, and Mr. Kamaka is one of the few people that can go and harvest koa. I mean, there's a moratorium. I don't know if they've lifted it, but there's a moratorium on koa wood. And I think you saw a picture of the wood pile. That's about 50, 60 grand worth of wood right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, right there.
Look at that. I mean, and that thing, back from the street where we were standing when we took this picture, there's a fence, and then there's concertina wire. And there's motion detectors all around that. That's a lot of money in wood right there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I think he's one of the few gentlemen that is actually allowed to go and harvest this. I'm not sure about that. I'm sure that we'll get some angry emails if I'm not correct. But
now, I believe this is koa here.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. Koa has a weird kind of a grain to it. It can be tight like mahogany, and then all of a sudden it can go out in a big wave.
Yep, you
know.
can see the little, I don't know if you can see
yeah,
that in
that's
the reflection.
Heart. That looks like heart of Koa. You can see that little thing right there. That's heart. That's probably why it's lasted 100 years, because it's a hell of a wood. Pretty stuff.
Both mahogany and Koa seem to be the two ones that make it up, and Martin came back and said that's the way to go, is with the mahogany. Martin also makes a plethora of higher, prettier ukuleles. This ukulele here, this is a style O, or SO, S-O. If you add a little bit more binding to it on one side, you will get a style 1. This is a style 2 tenor. And if you see there's binding on both sides, binding is what I'm describing on the side of the ukulele. If you notice, the style O has none. It's just basically wood glued to wood, no binding.
That's pretty. It's almost like looks like tortoise shell.
I believe this is either a harmony or a K, and you got the binding on one side, all in white, and then on the back, you don't. This is a pricier harmony or K. This wasn't a budget one for them. With all the extra, you can. I don't know if you can get a close-up on it, but there's a little marquette. There's like little pieces of wood joining in. Can you see that little? They're coming up next to the binding.
Yep.
And then up on the other side.
Yep.
And
how old is that?
This is more 40s, World War II era. This belonged to my father-in-law when he was a kid, and my wife being the musician in the family, and I'm the string guy. He said, "Why is it hanging in the attic?" He gave it to us, and at this point, it's going to be my daughter's. It's a family heirloom.
To me now, taking care of these things is so important, because when you hold these and feel them, there's nothing to them. They're very thin wood, and if you don't take care of them and keep them,
and even when you do,
even when you do, they go out of tune very quickly. This is a thin piece of wood that's been around 60 years. You know, you got to take care of them. You have to keep them moisturized.
Supple. Yeah. I left my humidifiers offset.
When you store them, you have to loosen the strings, because it keeps stress on it while it's stored. If you're not playing it, why have the strings tight? Why have them in tune?
And then make sure the humidifiers in there. Make sure you're drinking your 8 ounce glasses of water. Of course, the ukulele won't get hemorrhoids or kidney stones, but you will if you don't moisten yourself. And if you don't, you're into seeing me, because just like I got to do with this one now, I got to figure out what let go and go and fix it.
Yep, it's a never-ending battle with these things. And I'll tell you what, it's worth it. If you're as fascinated with these as I am, if you like the sound, the bright sound they make, and they're so easy. I mean, I think that they became so popular during the flapper era. All I can see is like a girl going along. It's 2 fingers and you got a chord. I mean, you get it. It's not that hard to learn.
No, it's like playing guitar. If you know how to play guitar, there's no way you don't know how to play ukulele.
And you can carry these things around and throw them in the corner. I mean, stick them on your back. You can put a little...
Very popular in the 20s. That's how the colleges got to be in the Ukulele Hall of Fame.
One thing you don't see here in this country, which kind of amazes me a little bit, because you can get them, they're not that expensive. You can get a decent one. For what, Stan? A decent, playable, knock around?
Yeah, $30, $40.
$40. Out in Hawaii, we were up by Schofield Barracks, and a truck went by us, a Toyota truck.
Yeah.
And there were 6 kids in the bed, and they all had ukuleles sitting across from each other, and they were playing the ukuleles.
Yeah.
Driving down the road.
Listen to the street musicians.
They're very popular.
Oh, God, you listen to the street musicians in Hawaii, and you really want to quit playing ukulele. We want to quit playing guitar.
There's a guy, Jake Shinatabi, I think his name. It's a very strange name. But I saw him 8 or 9 years ago. He was a kid. Now he plays concert halls in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the Hawaiian music is just beautiful stuff.
Well, he plays modern music, and he just plays it on a ukulele. He's like a
He's tremendous, tremendous player.
Like a guitarist, but you know, more of like a classical virtuoso kind of a thing. He plays the ukulele.
What do you see? I mean, I don't know what the popular. Do you get a lot of ukuleles come in to get fixed?
They're getting more. They're getting more and more. Yeah, than it used to be. But people are putting them out of the closet. But unfortunately, by the time they get them out of the attics and out of the closet, they're. If you can take another look at this one, you'll notice that the neck is relatively twisted from over the years.
Yeah, you see the face of it too has a little bit of a bow on it. Well, hell, it's 100 years old. I mean,
so I'm trying to restore it. When I had strings on it, I could play it. You know, everything is solid as far as that's concerned. It's just that you can't fix a twisted neck.
I'll tell you what, that's one of the pictures that you showed up there. Mr. Kamaka was telling me, and I was asking him, it's a repair point upstairs. Yeah. I know, we have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a repair point upstairs. He said, we're thinking about opening another business just to do repairs. They can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
So it's getting more and more popular. Listen, pick one of these up, okay? Just have it in your, your living room. I have one. I have one in the living room, and they're so easy to play, and they're so much fun. I'm fascinated. I am fascinated by them. I love them.
So, and I guess to wrap it up.
Stanley, thank you very much for bringing in your wonderful collection of ukuleles, and thanks for giving us a little bit of background on the ukulele.
I want to end with one more thing. You know
a song?
You know the steel body guitars?
Yeah.
They made steel body ukuleles too.
Oh, I gotta buy me one of those.
You can get a resonator ukulele too.
Let's do a song that Stan made up. Stan made up. Here we go. Ready? I'm out of tune already. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope to see you again on the next Guitar Talk. Bye-bye.